What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here today to talk about The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 12, Episodes 8 and 9. Now, a lot of shit has gone down off-screen in between these two episodes. I'm going to go over it chronologically, so there'll be like a middle section where I kind of touch on a lot of the off-screen drama. It literally involves like most of the bitches on Beverly Hills. Like it's like 5 or 6 of the girls are in hot water now. It's crazy. But anyways, we'll start off chronologically. So at the start of episode 8, we see Garcelle introducing Sheree Zampino. So I thought it was Sheree because I knew of Sheree Whitfield before, so I got used to Sheree, but it's Sheree. It doesn't have the little French accent thing. So Garcelle and Sheree are just chilling at like the park, just walking around having some coffee. Garcelle reveals that she dated Will Smith after he and Sheree got a divorce. But at the time, Garcelle didn't know Sheree. So she didn't know her like that. It was, she was essentially, like after you get a divorce, kind of just playing the field. I don't want to say like a rebound, but it's like, you're not really taking it seriously. You're just kind of seeing what's up, dating casually. Garcelle was dating Will Smith casually post Sheree. But she didn't know her yet at the time, so they're still cool. And Garcelle also shares that, like, seeing how cool Sheree and Will Smith are in their co-parenting relationship, because they share a son, Trey, that, like, it really inspired her in her co-parenting relationship with Mike, her ex-husband. And I don't know shit about Garcelle's ex-husband. All I know is that he cheated on Garcelle, and that's why they divorced. And Garcelle, like, sent this mass email, and she, like, CC'd all of his, like, colleagues or, like, business contacts or some shit, and basically blasting him for being a cheater or some shit. That's all I know. It's like, ooh. And Garcelle also says that she wants to go all out for her birthday party, because at the end of the last episode, we learned that Garcelle is having a birthday party. It's around Thanksgiving time right now, a little before Thanksgiving. But yeah, and she talks about how all of her sons are gonna be there, because Jax and Jade, the twins, they're both 14, and Oliver, how old is Oliver? I don't remember how old Oliver is, but he's older. I think he's maybe like 30, 31 maybe. I don't know. And she says it'll be peaceful, beautiful, kumbaya, although we all know it's gonna be complete bullshit. And it really is, because it goes down at Garcelle's party. We have a quick home scene with Crystal. She's just, you really see Crystal kind of, so obviously Crystal's in the hot seat in the first couple episodes. Now throughout this whole episode, Crystal's kind of like, just being funny. It's almost like she's trying to like we open up with her and her housekeeper, Lucy. They're like making a video for like Instagram or TikTok, like making a drink, because Crystal's like a bartender, it's like her thing. Making a drink, and it's like, Crystal, Rob, her husband, their son Max, and her brother Jeff. He's the one who's he's like a pop star over in China or some shit. So he's visiting the house, and Rob is just hamming it up for the cameras. Like it's almost like Crystal's like, okay, Rob, I had a rough first episodes. You need to start coming in. You need to start filming so they can see how fun you are, and try to kind of bring some comedic relief almost. Like, I think it is working, because this on top of Crystal's pretty empathetic to Garcelle's son, Jax, later on. So I feel like Crystal's really working on her image right now, and it is working. I'll give it that. And then before moving on, Rob, he asked Crystal about the trip to Punta de Mita, trip to Mexico. And Crystal, she compares Diana's experience, because mind you, this is Diana's first cast trip. And Crystal's like, oh, Diana's experience was kind of similar to my first cast trip. The one where Crystal was, like, freaking out in Sutton, because Sutton, like, violated her by entering Crystal's room without knocking, and Crystal was naked. That whole thing. So Crystal's like, yeah, she had about as good of a time as I had, which, I really don't see that comparison. It's like, Diana's time, it really wasn't... Crystal, it was a big thing for her, when she went to her first cast trip, but with Diana, it was like, girl, it was not that bad for Diana. It was not that bad for Diana, like, honestly. But whatever, girl. And then Crystal says, when you jab at Diana, it's nuclear. And it's like, oh my god, all the girls except for fucking Garcelle and Sutton, everyone else is all up fucking Diana's asshole. It's really crazy. They have Kyle and Mauricio and Alexia. They're in the kitchen. They're like cooking something for Alexia's like Friendsgiving or some shit. They start speaking on Garcelle's upcoming birthday party. Kyle says, "Oh, Mauricio should come. Garcelle loves you. You know, it'd be cool." And then Kyle also brings up Diana's recent group text to the chat. Because Mauricio's like, "Oh, who's all gonna come?" And Kyle's like, "Well, probably not Diana, because
doctors are putting me on bed rest to stop bleeding.
This trip and flying and drinking and burning my candle both ends after losing baby.
Bleeding for 8 weeks straight after miscarriage.
And 4 major surgeries that followed in the last few weeks to save my uterus was not a very intelligent thing to do.
I usually wouldn't share this in a group text because it makes me look like a whining bitch.
But Garcelle, misspelled, might think I'm rude, so there it is."
So the main takeaways from this little text message are that Diana's on bed rest, and she also was throwing some shade at Garcelle. So we kind of see this more later on, but Diana seems pretty pressed at Garcelle because in Mexico, Garcelle said she thought what Diana did to Dorit was rude, because you'll recall, Dorit asked a question about Diana's Room 23 book. And Diana was like, "Oh, we talked about it already, don't worry about it." And Garcelle was like, "Oh, I thought that was kind of rude." And so it really seems that Diana's really focusing on this. We'll see again later on. She's like, "Oh, I don't want Garcelle to think I'm rude. Oh, I don't want to think that I'm rude." And it's like, ugh, I don't know. No one likes Diana at this point. Like, no one likes Diana, to be honest. It's really crazy. Like, you know, usually with Housewives and shit, there's like the fandoms go against each other. You know, there's like Team Twirl, Team Portia, all that. You know, everyone has their side or whatever. People stand, you know, but it's really not, no one likes Diana. Like, no one's really a Diana stan, it seems. Or if they are, they're pretty fucking quiet. So that's all I'll say. Then we had a scene that I personally really liked. It's Erika. She's first talking about her pretty mess hair. She has like this hair extension line or whatever. And she, first of all, she speaks on how after the whole drama, the lawsuit shit with Tom, she lost a lot of her business contacts. And so she has to really, you know, work on herself, pull herself up by her bootstraps because no one's going to help her, you know. She started speaking on her grandma. And why I like this section is because the way Erika's, like, speaking about her grandma is, like, how I speak with, like, close members of my family. Like, I don't know, Erika is just, like, she's being, like, heartwarming, but, like, irreverent. You know, she was, like, talking about her grandma, like, "Oh, this motherfucker." Like, "Oh, that little bitch would have like," but in a endearing way. Like, she was, like, oh, she's telling a story about her grandmother, because she was, like, a seamstress. She was, like, "Oh, we'd be driving down these country roads in Georgia," and she'd be like, "Ooh," because she sees, like, this old, ratty-ass chair. And Erika was like, "This motherfucker would pick up the chair and reupholster it, and it would look fabulous." Like, just kind of talking like that, and it's really endearing, and it's, I don't know, it's because, like, that's how it's my family's really irreverent, you know, we're not really, it's really weird. The men are kind of, like, a bit more, oh, like, tradition, whatever, but, like, all the women are like, "Nah, fuck that shit," you know, whatever, and I don't know, I'm gay, as I align more, that's more my attitude towards it, you know, I'm like, oh, like, whatever, it's a little bitch, you know, this shit, like, I don't know. So I found it relatable.
If I could talk to my grandmother, she'd be telling me to not give up the fight. You must persevere. You cannot give up, Erika. That little bitch would have been out there whooping my ass.
I remember about the relationship. She says that, like, she and her grandma are super close. Because if you want to call Erika and her mother, they, like, never had a good relationship. But we learned that Erika and her grandma were super cool. And she helped Erika make her move to LA. She drove cross country with Erika from Georgia to fucking LA, helped her move, and it's a really cute scene. I really liked it. It warmed my damn heart. They have Sutton and Dorit. They're linking up at Dorit's house. Dorit's mom is visiting, and there's some small banter, small talk between the women and the mom. And eventually Sutton and I'm about to say Diana. Fuck no, not Sutton and Diana yet. Sutton and Dorit, they sit down, and Sutton speaks on how she recently, like, just had a doctor's appointment. And Sutton describes it. She's like, "Oh, I had a minor surgery." And Dorit's like, "Oh my gosh, what?" And Sutton's like, "Oh, they made a small incision and they put like a testosterone tablet in her, because I guess she had, like, low testosterone levels." And Sutton says she feels fucking great. She's like, I feel amazing. I feel like in it, you know? And she says it changed her life. And Dorit's kind of weird. She's like, oh, okay, testosterone, huh? Sure, whatever you say. And honestly, it's like, Dorit, shut up. Like, I very believe that Sutton could have used some fucking testosterone. Like, I don't know, like, everyone thought Sutton was kind of, like, weird and jittery and nervous before, but Sutton's in it now. You know, later on, she calls Diana a motherfucker. Like, this testosterone gave Sutton that fucking boost, honestly. So it's whatever. And then they segue to speaking on the Mexico trip, and Sutton says that she's cool with Crystal now, but she's mad at Diana over the plane thing, over Diana being like, oh, Sutton, you should sit in the original seat that you flew in. Like, don't sit with us. Sit in the original seat. So he's being a mean girl about it, and it's kind of rubbing Sutton the wrong way. And while speaking about it, Sutton points out that Diana chose to get in the crossfire because Sutton and Diana got into it because Diana jumped into Sutton's conversation with Crystal. And so Diana got in the crossfire, and afterwards Sutton apologized to Diana. She did right away. They're still at the table. She apologized. And Sutton's also pressed at Diana for throwing shade at Garcelle in the text. So Sutton's like, oh, and she tried to throw shade at Garcelle with her name misspelled, and like, you're not gonna throw shade at my friend like that. So Sutton has her eye on Diana right now. She's questioning if Diana's a sniper, she says. So Sutton's watching Diana. She has a bone to pick with her too. So we go to Garcelle's house. Her 3 sons and her nephew. Her nephew's around the same age as Oliver. He's a bit older. They're chilling at her house. We see Garcelle's tailor, Alicio. He's just funny because she's like, oh, Alicio, are you here? And he's like, the beautiful one has arrived and he has a beautiful dress. Like, he's talking about himself, and it's just so funny. Like, the beautiful one is here. Then we have a quick montage of all the girls. They're getting ready for Garcelle's party. Nothing too crazy, though. Kyle and Sutton get on FaceTime while they're getting ready. And they reveal, I think it was Kyle who reveals it, that Diana is going to the party, despite her text about being on bed rest and shit. It's like, well, girl, why fucking send it? Like, whatever. Diana's doing the most. She's being stupid. Alright, so we're at the scene of the birthday party. There's light banter, nothing too crazy. Although there's a funny moment between Sutton and Kyle about their dresses.
How are you?
Oh, that's a pretty color.
Oh, I didn't know it was a pajama party.
I didn't know it was a boob hanging out party, but I guess I did.
We see at Garcelle, she has this Birkin cake. It's a really well done cake. It's like this turquoise Birkin bag, and it looks really cool. Like, everyone comments on how, like, oh, it looks so lifelike. Like, everyone's drawn to it. The girls kind of throw some, not shade, but Dorit points out that, oh, it's her first Birkin bag. And Kyle's inner confessional is like, I'd rather be wearing one than eating one, because later on Garcelle says that, like, oh, I can't rationalize spending that much on a bag, even though Birkins do, they don't lose their value. It's the word. They appreciate. It's different people talked about it, different celebrities and stuff, about why they like go into Birkins. Cardi B won this whole thing because people were talking shit about Cardi B because she had all these Birkins and she was buying her daughter these Birkins, and she's like, no, these aren't just expensive purses. Like, they're a cultural, Birkins are a cultural phenomenon. They really are. But Garcelle's like, I'm not in on that. She's not falling for the scam, okay? Which I respect, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but Garcelle's like, mama needs a Birkin. Like, I'll take one if someone wants to buy one for me, but I'm not fucking spending that money on it. So, okay, Garcelle. We see Sutton. She's vibing with Garcelle's friends, specifically the girls from The Real, Lonnie Love and Adrienne Bailon. She got married. Adrienne Bailon, the 3LW, Houghton, is that her new name? I don't know her new name, but Lonnie Love and Adrienne Bailon. And then with the good vibes, Diana rolls in with her fiance, her gay-ass fiance. And they look like Sasquatches. They're wearing these, they're both wearing these fucking, these big, nasty black fur coats. And they look weird. Like, it doesn't look flattering at all. And especially because they're both wearing them. There's looked at this one bundle of just, like, fur just walking in, and she's kind of being shady. She's like, oh, you know, it's dead, indeed. Like, indeed, it's dead. Like she's expecting it to be dead or whatever. Although Garcelle sent some shade Diana's way in the confessional.
Dead indeed.
I think we wore the right thing tonight.
I think so.
I know there's a little bit of a language barrier for Diana, so maybe the doctor didn't say bed rest. He said, take a nap.
I don't see the hostess, do you?
Anyways, I'm happy the bitch has rallied.
Okay, and I don't fuck with Diana, but I have to give this to her. Diana brought a pretty fucking cool gift. So, Diana brought the book, Room 23. She brought the book, and it was surrounded by, like, these flowers, in this flower arrangement. And she brought that as Garcelle's present. And it's like, I thought it was a pretty, it was like, oh, okay, I'll give that to the bitch, you know, but what I will point out, I'm, like, just realizing this, it's like, Garcelle wasn't ever asking questions about the book. It was Dorit who was asking questions about the book. But Garcelle was like, oh, that was rude. You should have answered the questions because Dorit wanted to talk to you about it. So I get it. I thought it was a pretty, like, good execution, but I don't know about the recipient. It was like, well, Garcelle wasn't asking about the book. You know what I mean? But I thought it was a pretty good execution. I will have to say, begrudgingly, I say it. So Sutton and Diana, they're kind of playing nice for now, although Sutton is kind of questioning why Diana's there if she's supposedly on bed rest, and Sutton says, she's like, oh, well, maybe Jesus did that. Jesus still heals.
You're on your deathbed, and then 2 days later, she's ready to party.
Can we grab like Campari or something? Do you have? Or?
Yeah.
So maybe Jesus came, because Jesus did that. He would heal people very quickly like that. It's possible. Jesus still heals.
So yeah, she's side-eyeing that. And then Garcelle's son, Oliver, he introduces himself to some of the girls. At least Erika and Dorit specifically, or Erika, Dorit, and Crystal. Erika says Oliver's hot, and she's like, oh, that's my jam. He's my jam. Like, and Garcelle, I just want to touch on this right now. We'll get more into it later. On Watch What Happens Live, because Garcelle went on the episode of Watch What Happens Live right after this aired. She comments on what Erika was saying, and Garcelle is like, at this point, you know, it was fine. It wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't a big deal until it got creepy. But we'll see what she means in episode 9. But yeah, so far she's saying Oliver's hot and he's her jam, which is kind of creepy. He's her friend's son, but, you know, whatever. And then at this point, Garcelle explains that she refuses to buy a Birkin, as I mentioned already. She's like, you know, I will not spend that money on that. Understandably, I must say. And then Sheree arrives. She's hella cool with Sutton. She's like, oh, my girl, my girl. So we really see that Sutton and Garcelle are, like, legitimate, like, in person, not just on camera friends, because Sutton's cool with a lot of Garcelle's friends. So, and then Garcelle proceeds to introduce Sheree to the group. You know, they all sit down, everyone's there. And then, oddly, the girls start talking about masturbation and underwear. Like, it just somehow comes up. I think fucking Sheree brought up masturbation. I'm like, I don't know how it came up, but Sheree somehow brought up masturbation, and then Garcelle brought up underwear, about how, like, she used to hate wearing underwear, and she was, like, little, she was like, oh, no. And then Erika, she casually brings up Pantygate, the thing about how Dorit's husband, PK, was staring at Erika's pussy on. This whole thing is so awkward.
They had to force me to wear underwear because I didn't like wearing.
Well, don't ask her husband, because I don't like to wear underwear, and apparently he looked at my pussy all night.
Oh, damn!
Kyle needs some underwear. I don't have any.
Oh my God.
I told you that.
Why don't you have any knickers on?
Because it doesn't look good under my dress.
Yep.
When something is right here, how do you avoid it?
Oh.
Lindsay, Cal, and Diana, they're just kind of talking on the sidelines. And Cal basically brings up Diana's shady text. She's like, oh, you know, I almost died when I read your text. Oh my gosh, Cal's just hyping Diana up. She's sucking Diana's dick. And Diana's like, I don't do jabs. I do the nukes. And she's just, oh my gosh. You think that was so bad, her being like, oh, you know, I don't want Garcelle to think I'm rude. Like, it's like, girl, that's not what, it's not giving what you think it's doing, you know? The Kyle also brings up the interaction between Sutton and Diana on the plane. And Diana again brings up, oh, you know how she saved in my phone, right? Bacon-eating vegetarian. It's like she thinks that it's like gonna take off. She's trying to make fetch happen. You know, it's like she thinks that like a bacon-eating vegetarian is gonna like be on T-shirts, and that the fandom is gonna be like, oh yes, they're gonna start making it their fucking Twitter name, their Twitter handles and shit. But it's like, no, it's not. It's just annoying and stupid. And we also see that Diana's so preoccupied with Sutton contradicting herself, but Diana contradicts her own damn self a lot too. It's good vibes at the party. Garcelle, she's like on the dance floor going crazy. She's filling up Kyle's titties, and her son Jax, he sees her and he's like, Mom, you have some explaining to do. So she's having fun. Rob Minkoff, Crystal's husband, he's getting down. He's just on the dance floor going crazy, and Crystal's like, oh, our friends call him Hip Hop Rob, I swear to God. And it's like, the lamest people on the planet probably call him Hip Hop Rob. Like, who the fuck would call Rob Minkoff Hip Hop Rob? I don't know, but so they're doing that. Erika and Kyle, particularly Kyle, they're hella lit on the dance floor. Kyle is fucking sliding her coochie all across the floor, just doing the splits up and down. It's so extra. It's like, of course she is, of course.
Kyle's having too much fun.
Every time I say I'm never gonna do the splits again, something happens. I don't know what to tell you, okay?
So Sutton then goes up to Diana and asks if they can go outside to speak real quickly. And it's like, I have to give it to Sutton. Sutton had some fucking balls for that. That testosterone's working already, you know, because Sutton doesn't give a fuck. So they go outside, and it's pretty chill. They're sitting down, and Sutton begins by asking Diana how she's doing. And Diana's like, oh, I'm good, you know, yeah. And Sutton's also like, oh, so you're on bed rest, but you're here. You see, that's confusing. And she's like, oh, you're gonna have to clear it up. And I will say, Diana's kind of like, who are you? What are an explanation? And I understand Diana's response to that, because I'd be like, what the fuck as well. But Diana's making such a big deal about Sutton being a bacon-eating vegetarian, about her being contradictory. And so Sutton's like, okay, bitch, well, what's up with you? If I'm so contradictory and such a problem, why are you contradicting yourself? You said you're on bed rest, yet you are here. That is the contradiction. So it's like, I get both sides, you know, it's one of those kind of situations. But yeah, and then Diana, she's like, oh, you want an explanation? Well, 12 weeks ago, I had a miscarriage, and just bringing that up, and Sutton, she says she gets it because she's had 2 miscarriages, again, kind of like relating her, and Diana gets mad.
I'm done being nice. We're done. I'm ready for you to meet a different person. The new game.
But you can't send.
But what?
This is not a conversation.
It's not.
No.
How do we converse?
Not like, but. That's not nice.
Oh, what? Shall I yell? Like you yelled at me? You know I'm Bosnian. I always respond well to yelling.
Oh, yeah, I want to hear, the Bosnian tough girl.
What do you want me to butt head you?
Diana says Sutton's fake, phony, and boring, and it's like, Sutton is not boring. She's kooky enough to, like, not be boring. I'll give it that. And just Diana just goes in on Sutton. She brings up their experience on the boat about how, like, when Diana's relaying a story about her brother dying in Bosnia, about how Sutton brought up her father committing suicide, and she just says that Sutton's not empathetic. That's her main thing. Kyle and Garcelle, they proceed to walk up. They're just kind of like, okay, it's going down over there between them. Let's go and see what's up. When they walk up, Sutton's kind of like, oh my gosh, it's fine. We're good. We're just talking it out. And then oddly, Diana proceeds to kind of catch an attitude with Garcelle. She's like, oh, I'm rude, aren't I, Garcelle? Well, like, so if you think I'm rude, well, yes, I'm here being rude. So you see that Diana's really pressed about Garcelle calling her rude. And it's like, and it's so stupid because it's like, Garcelle called you rude because of how you were to Dorit. It had nothing to do with Sutton. It had nothing, I don't even know, but she's so pressed at that. And Garcelle says that Diana has a chip on her shoulder and that she's just doing too much. She's being shitty. And just Diana just keeps going. And Diana calls Garcelle Sutton's bodyguard, because, again, Garcelle's kind of speaking out about it. She's like, that's a really shitty thing for you to do, Diana. If Sutton's trying to apologize to you, you shouldn't be being a bitch to her. And so Diana's like, oh, are you Sutton's bodyguard? Are you her mouthpiece? And Garcelle straight up says, Sutton does not need a mouthpiece, you know, like, I'm an individual person who's telling you that I don't like what you're doing, like, you know. Garcelle proceeds to get over it. She's like, all right, bitch, you're not gonna mess up my party, so good night, and walks away. Now, Garcelle didn't kick Diana out. She didn't, like, be like, oh, just get out of my party, go ahead and leave. Because it was already kind of winding down, you know what I mean? But Garcelle's like, okay, bye. She, like, exits the conversation. But Kyle, unfortunately, fucking stays there. And then Sutton seems to call Diana an asshole, and she makes a slight call girl reference. She's like, I have your number. It's 8675309. She didn't sing it, but, you know, it's really to that song. It's about, like, for a good time, call that number. So, I don't know, did Sutton, like, slyly reference the Madame allegations against Diana by doing that? What do you think? I mean, that has to be the only way. I don't see why else. But the thing is, Diana really didn't catch that reference, because it's an old-ass song, and Diana's not from this country, so, you know, it probably didn't. But yeah, that was pretty funny. And then we segue to Garcelle and Erika real quickly. So after Garcelle gets up, we see she's sitting with Erika, and Garcelle says that, like, oh, Denise didn't end up showing up, because Garcelle told Rinna, she's like, oh, Denise is going to be at my party. I wish you could be there. But Denise was a no-show, like a no-call, no-show. It didn't let Garcelle know or anything. And Garcelle's kind of hurt about it, and Erika's drunk. She's like, no, fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. She burned your bridge before, and she's fucking with you again on your birthday. Fuck that bitch. I told you that bitch. Like, Erika's just going on, and Garcelle's like, Erika, calm down. Like, but, like, Garcelle's upset. She's like, her feelings are hurt, but she's not like, man, fuck Denise. You know what I mean? She's not like that. But yes, that's what happened. Then we go back to Sutton, and she calls Diana passive-aggressive, and Diana's like, oh, so my text, was that passive-aggressive or was that aggressive? And Sutton's like, that was passive-aggressive, you know, because you're crying and bitching about being on, oh, I'm on bed rest, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but Garcelle would think I'm rude. And it's like, I will admit, yeah, it's passive-aggressive. You're sending a text to a group chat, slyly, it's like, that's passive-aggressive. It'd be aggressive if you were to talk to her, like, directly and address the situation, you know? Like how bitches do at parties, you know, you address, and when you're in a group setting, you bring up the drama. That's aggressive. That shit's passive-aggressive, you know? And yeah, Diana just continues questioning Sutton's empathy. Sutton calls Diana soulless, which Kyle jumps at. Kyle's like, oh, Sutton, you can't call her soulless. You can't say that. She just lost a baby. That's so bad. Like, Kyle's being so annoying. She's not letting Sutton speak, really. She's just like, she's letting Diana say whatever the fuck she wants, but she's jumping at Sutton for defending herself and saying some shit back to Diana, and it's so stupid, to be honest. And that's the end of the episode. It's a to-be-continued kind of thing. But before we jump into episode 9, we have to touch on some of the drama that happened off-screen. So during the episode, obviously, Kyle and Diana started already catching flack for how they were acting towards the end of the episode. Mainly about how they're treating Sutton and Garcelle and all that shit. So they're already in the hot seat, just because of what was on the episode. After the episode aired, as mentioned, Garcelle went on to watch What Happens Live. And while she was there, Andy asked her about her thoughts on Diana's recent Instagram controversy that involved a Black content creator. I talked about it a couple episodes ago. And Garcelle called Diana uneducated. She's like, she's uneducated. She just kept it at that. And Diana's response ignited more backlash, because Diana was like, she made some notes. She posted like a screenshot of like a notes app kind of thing, and she was like, oh, Garcelle, next thing you want to call me uneducated on a national platform, why don't you mention all the work I've done for Haiti, your home country, and all the work I've done in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and helping send, like, basically saying, like, oh, I can't be racist. I help black people. You know what I mean? That was basically the gist of it. Obviously, people were like, girl, what is this? And they're just like, what? So it backfired on Diana. People were kind of slamming Diana, rightfully so. And then Lisa Rinna jumps in the conversation. And she's basically like, oh, so you can't disagree with Garcelle or else you're called a racist. Blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. We're not, like, if we have drama, we're going to have drama with you regardless. Just chiming into this conversation. Again, all up Diana's asshole, trying to defend her for no reason, really. And then Rinna oddly dragged the Housewives of Dubai into it. She's like, if you're too much of a pussy, she basically says something along the lines of like, if you're too much of a pussy to watch Beverly Hills or to handle how we do it in Beverly Hills, then go watch Dubai. Now, I don't know if Rinna said this because, as mentioned, Dubai, up until episode 4, has been fairly slow. It's a new experience. All new franchises. Season 1 of every franchise kind of fucking sucks. Salt Lake City season 1 is better than season 2, though. I'll give it that. But, you know, generally speaking, they always suck. It's like, girl, remember fucking Potomac season 1? All the etiquette bullshit, you know, like, it's a season 1 tends to be slow. But it's starting to heat up more. I don't know if she brought it because, Dubai airs right after Beverly Hills. It's Beverly Hills, and then Dubai, and then Watch What Happens Live on Wednesdays. Or if it had to do with, like, half the Dubai cast being black, and basically, like, oh, if you can't handle watching a show with one black woman, watch this other one. I don't know, but people are kind of like, girl, what the fuck? And the Dubai girls went in on Rinna. They all, like, specifically it was Ayan, Lisa Milan, and Caroline Brooks. They went in. Brooks especially. Brooks was, like, going in on Rinna, like, over and over. But yeah, it was, like, it was crazy. And so that's with that drama. So again, it went from Garcelle speaking on Diana trying to defend herself and backfiring, and then Rinna jumping in for no reason and dragging the Dubai girls into it. It was really fucking weird. And then Rinna eventually, like, gave an apology by saying, like, she referenced, she was like, oh, grief makes you do weird things, like, some shit like that. And I was like, no, Rinna, you're just a bitch. Like, she's totally trying to milk her mom recently dying. And it's like, no, you've been like this. You've been on this shit. So, that's with that. And then we get into the previews. And so now, because every so often, like, before new episodes, certain accounts get, like, access to clips beforehand, and they share them and circulate them for, as promo, essentially. So, 3 clips in particular started circulating, and these are from episode 9, so we'll get more in depth when we're talking about the actual episode, but these clips began circulating ahead of the episode, and it caused all kinds of controversy. One of them involved the sit-down between Kyle, Sutton, and Diana. It was, like, the continuation of it, essentially. And we see Sutton again bring up her 2 miscarriages, and we see Kyle call bullshit. She straight up says, I'm calling bullshit on that. I've never heard of this story. Like, we straight up see Kyle deny, like, tell Sutton she could not, oh, yeah, I have 2 miscarriages. That's bullshit. And we also see Kyle, like, putting her hands on Sutton. Like, Sutton, like, tries getting up, and Kyle's like, oh, you can't do that. You can't say that. Like, getting all handsy with her and shit, and it's just really extra. So again, Kyle's, like, in the hot seat again with that. And then we see some behavior between Erika and one of Garcelle's 14-year-old sons, Jax. So people are, like, taking flowers because they're little centerpieces of flowers, and Garcelle's like, oh, can you go and grab those flowers? And so Jax goes to grab him, and Erika's like, oh, like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, flowers. And Erika's like, oh, like, get the fuck out of here. And so, yeah, there was that scene. There was Erika telling him to get the fuck out of there. And Dorit was right next to her as well. And so, yeah, that was the scene with that. And then we see another clip later on of Kyle, Mauricio, Dorit, and PK excusing and laughing about Erika cursing at Garcelle's son. So, Garcelle, Mauricio, Dorit, and PK, Erika... and Dorit, oh, no, I already said Dorit, I'm sorry. They're all in the hot seat, Diana and Rinna were in the hot seat when the other one. So it was pretty fucking crazy. But yeah, and mind you, this all came before episode 9 even aired. These were Twitter clips that were circulating, and it was pretty crazy. But anywho, so that's some of the off-screen drama that happened in real time, essentially. And so now we'll go into Beverly Hills, episode 9, Calamity Jane. So we're back at Garcelle's party. Kyle, she's telling Sutton that, like, oh, you can't say Diana's soulless. She just lost a baby. Sutton says, oh, I understand because I had 2 miscarriages. But again, Kyle calls bullshit on it. Sutton gets very emotional, and Diana's, like, being snide and just kind of being a bitch. Like, when Kyle, she's, like, getting handsy with Sutton, like, you can't call her that. Blah, blah, blah. So, Diana's, like, laughing at it. She's just being, like, an evil bitch, basically. Sutton goes on to call Diana a motherfucker, and Kyle, again, she's getting all up on Sutton, and it's just, like, really nasty to see. Yeah. Sutton is extremely emotional, and Diana, she winds up calming down, and she says that they're good, and they hug, and it's a very fake. And I have to say, so this whole time, Diana was like, oh, Sutton, you're so fake. I can't do fake. I don't do fake, honey. And this is Sutton's like, I'm not fake. I'm being sincere. I genuinely care about you. I'm trying to work this out or whatever. And now we see Diana giving this fake-ass hug to Sutton. And then Sutton's like, you like see Sutton's like taking it in. Like, Sutton's like going into, Sutton's quick to like, Sutton's very non-confrontational, I think. Like, in terms of like, she doesn't like deep-rooted conflict. She can handle like the bullshit stuff, but I don't know. I feel like she's trying to like just move on from it. But Diana's like, we are not good. But I'll say that we're good. So, but I'm just bringing this up to say that like, Diana's so obsessed with Sutton being contradictory, but it's like, well, Diana, you're saying you can't do fake shit, and here you're doing some fake shit. And I know Diana's probably gonna say like, oh yeah, well, Sutton, she's fake, so I decided to be fake too. But it's like, that's not the point, girl. Like, you're still being fake. Like, Sutton is, I don't know, do you guys think Sutton's fake? I don't think she's fake, but what I do think is that, like, I think she's quick to, like, make up with people and to be like, oh, you're my friend, let's move on. Like, she'll address bullshit, but she's quick to, like, try to reconcile. At least try to reconcile, you know what I mean? I don't know, that's my opinion on it. What do you think? What do you think about Sutton? What do you think about Diana? Like, what are your thoughts on this whole little exchange? But yeah, so with that fake hug, they're done, and they all leave that little section, and they join the other girls. So all the girls are together now. While all together, Erika proceeds to ask Garcelle where her hot son is, and Erika says, oh, I've got nothing to lose. And it's, like, really gross, and Erika proceeds to offer a 3-way with Oliver and his wife. And then after Oliver says, like, oh, like, yeah, I'm married, I have a wife, Erika's like, tell your babe mama to message me, and we can work out a 3-way. Like, it's very gross, very egregious, very in-your-face and inappropriate. Erika keeps on going, and it's very creepy. Garcelle swoops up the last moment to save Oliver. She's like, okay, honey, let's go. Come on, let's go. Like,
honey?
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, wait. I'm talking.
Yeah.
No, sweetheart, I'm talking.
I get it. Let your hair down, have a good time. But this doesn't feel like that. This feels like take a moment, reassess your life. What's happening? Where are you going? This is not okay.
I love you. However, happy birthday.
Yes, I'm leaving.
Nice to meet you.
Oh my God, he shut me down.
I'll see you again.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I know. Exactly.
Are you sure?
and Erika's flirting with him till the last second. Like, he says bye to Erika, and Erika's like, oh, you're turning me down, huh? Like, she's trying so hard. Erika is so horny. She is whopping so hard. Like, it's so weird. Very inappropriate. Because he's Garcelle's son. You know, it's weird. That's weird. Then, at this moment, Garcelle's other son, Jax, he goes to get some flowers from the table, and Erika curses at him again. She's like, oh, like, get the fuck out of here. And Crystal gets him out of there, because Crystal's right there, and she, like, gets him away, and she, like, goes to these women, you know, it's fine. And people are giving Crystal props for that, but it's like, yo, it's the least someone can do. You know, it's like, someone should have checked Erika, you know, but Erika's drunk, and I was just giving her the benefit of being drunk or whatever.
Okay, we're out.
Wait,
Love you girls. Bye.
What are you doing here?
Flowers.
Get the out of here. He's gonna don't out of here.
Oh my, don't listen to these ladies.
Get the out of here before you get in trouble.
And then Crystal gets him out of there. Jax tells Garcelle what happened, and Garcelle very calmly checks Erika, and it's like, a lot of people are saying that, like, oh, Garcelle, she addressed Erika that way because she's like worried about, you know, feeding the angry black woman stereotype. But later on in the episode, and that may very, very much be true, but later on, Garcelle says, you know, I didn't want to go too hard on Erika because I want to handle her when she's sober and when she knows what the fuck I'm saying. So it's like, ooh, like, that's scary. She's like, no, you're a drunk bitch right now. You know, you're going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, whatever, but I want you to be sober and lucid when I address you about how you're talking to my son. So, yeah, that happens, and then the night ends. And now it's the next morning, and Garcelle's talking about the party with her stylist and makeup artist. Garcelle says that Erika needs to figure her drinking and antidepressant situation out. You know, Garcelle and Sutton have really been the only ones to be like, yo, I think Erika might have a problem forming. Like, all the other girls are like, oh, I love seeing Erika like this. She's letting her hair down and getting loose, but Garcelle's clocking that there's something going on. You know, she's like, there's something going on, and Garcelle says that she's sick of Erika. She's like, I'm tired of this behavior, and I'm just over it. And then we see Crystal. She and Dorit have a little scene. They're going to a self-defense class. Nothing really crazy to say there. And now we see Sutton and Kyle. They're linking up for some Italian food, and Kyle apologizes to Sutton for the night before. And Sutton, she tries holding Kyle accountable. She tries, like, for what she was doing. She's like, okay, you entered this conversation that you knew nothing about and instantly took Diana's side. Like, she's kind of, like, trying to hold Kyle accountable, because Kyle's trying to do the Lisa Rinna thing of being like, oh, I fucked up, I'm sorry, and by apologizing, she's trying to, like, keep the victim, essentially, from, holding their feet to the fire, you know what I'm saying? Like, Kyle's trying to just apologize for it and move on, but Sutton's like, no, this is why you were wrong. And Kyle gets she kind of gets an attitude with it. She's like, oh, I'm trying to apologize. You're a hard person to apologize to. You talk so damn much. And Kyle says, oh, well, Diana doesn't know you yet. Do you see what she has to put up with? Like, you're a hard person to communicate with. You're a hard person to talk to. And it's like, girl, Kyle fucking hates Sutton. Like, honestly, it's like that whole thing, like, oh, you're hard. Kyle hates Sutton. Like, honestly, like, I don't know. Oh, I didn't touch on this while touching about the drama. So, people are kind of saying that, like, so again, Kyle, Rinna, Diana, Erika, and Dorit, they're all in the hot seat right now. They're all in the hot seat for different reasons and in different ways, to different extents. Crystal was in the hot seat, but now Crystal's very much in... Crystal's okay. You know, some people are still mad at Crystal, like, Crystal, we haven't forgotten about what you did, but it's like, girl, we're focusing on these other bitches, you know, on the big fish to fry. People are almost certain that at least one or two of them are gonna have to be booted. Who do I think should go? Kyle could probably go, and maybe Dorit. Although I will say, Lisa Rinna was completely absent from episode 8, and a lot of people, like, didn't even notice. So it kind of shows that Rinna, like, doesn't really need to be on the show. I don't know, man. What do you think? Who do you think should leave the show? A, do you think that Diana will get kicked off, like, because, like, become one and done because of her social media controversies? Or, if not that, who else do you think will get kicked off? I don't know. I'm just vibing. I've been recording for a while now. I'm sorry. I'm just talking at this point. Now, speaking of Rinna and Diana, we see them link up, and they're discussing, just making small talk. They discuss Diana's daughter's first birthday. She just turned 1. And Rinna talks about struggling with not having Lois during the holidays because, like, Thanksgiving, like, just passed, and it's her first holiday season without Lois, so I get that. And then Rinna proceeds to ask about how Garcelle's party went. Diana says everything that Sutton said to her, but leaves out everything she said to Sutton. She's like, Sutton called me a motherfucker and a soulless, and she kind of puts a spin on Sutton's comment about having 2 miscarriages. Diana's like, Diana basically frames it as though Sutton brought up having 2 miscarriages as like, to make it like a pissing contest, basically like, Diana's like, I had 1 miscarriage, and Sutton's like, I had 2 miscarriages, like, rather than Sutton trying to connect with her, or, cause it's not even, like, Diana's not even saying, I feel like Sutton is bringing up these things at inappropriate moments. Diana's saying, Sutton's turning everything into, like, a pissing contest. She's making everything about herself, and it's like, girl, these aren't the same things. It's like, I get maybe being, like, annoyed by Sutton continually bringing up these personal stories, and you feel like it's not socially appropriate. I get that, but being like, she's making it about herself, make this pissing contest, trying to one-up me. It's like, girl, calm down. You know what I mean? Like, let's reel it back a bit. But yeah, and Rinna proceeds to call Sutton a narcissist. Because Rinna hates Sutton as well, but she's a little bit more vocal about her hate for Sutton than Kyle is. But Rinna's like, yeah, Sutton's a narcissist. She's a narcissist. And it's like, Rinna, if anyone's a narcissist, it's probably you. Like, if everyone has narcissistic tendencies or qualities, aspects, whatever the fuck you want to say, it's probably you, and it's not Sutton. But who am I to say? I don't know shit. And now we have the infamous scene with Kyle and Mauricio, Dorit and PK. So they're all going to Kyle and Mauricio's for dinner. And they just have small talk, and they banter and everything. And then Kyle brings up what Erika said, what she said to Jax, about how she was like, about telling him to fuck off or whatever. And it all goes downhill from there, because Kyle says, it's not funny, but it is funny. I like seeing Erika be this relaxed and laid back. Mauricio's like laughingly saying, I'm glad she did that. And when he first said it, I thought he was kind of being like, when someone does something stupid, it's like, oh wow, good job. Or I thought I was like kind of being sarcastic about it, but he doubled down later on by being like, absolutely, Erika, she has every right to just do her thing, have fun, be a little outrageous. And it's like, why are you treating this it's so weird. And Dorit, she excuses it. She's like, I give it a pass because Erika's never like that. And of course, it wasn't my child, so. And PK says that Erika is entitled to a blowout. He's like, she was hitting on her older son. She told Garcelle's younger son to fuck off. That's a blowout. And there's excusing Erika's disgusting behavior, and it's like, it's really nasty. And I will say, some of the fan base took it a bit far, because the fan base, they're obviously like, okay, well, how would you feel if they said it to one of your children? Like, what the fuck? Like, is it, stuff like that. And people are going to, like, Kyle's daughters, her youngest daughter, Portia, she's, like, 13 and 14. People are going to her Instagram page and, like, blasting her with all kinds of shit. It was really disgusting. But these comments were really, really, really fucking bad. It was like, oh my gosh. So no one is pleased with them. Honestly, when Kyle, Mauricio, Dorit, and PK get together, some nasty ass bullshit is gonna come up. Like, I don't know. I think it's Kyle and PK. They're like nasty. I don't know. Mauricio and Dorit go along with it, but I think it's Kyle and PK. They're the ones who like forward the bullshit, But it was a really bad scene. Everyone's very upset with Kyle and Dorit and Mauricio and PK. People are like boycotting because Mauricio just had like they announced that Mauricio, Farrah, and Alexia, his 2 older daughters, they're all gonna have like this Netflix series, and people are like, I am not gonna watch that shit. Mauricio is horrible. And mind you, Mauricio is like everyone's favorite house husband, but it's like, oh my gosh, it was bad. So that's the scene. And of course, people were like, are they brushing us off because he was saying it's a black child or a biracial child. But yeah, it was just like, it was a bad situation. But yeah, moving on. Fuck. So now we see Sutton. She's at her new house, and she's prepping to have everyone over to have like a little housewarming luncheon. The house isn't complete yet, but she's she's just celebrating the progress she's made, because we see a lot of before and afters, and she has made a lot of progress at the home. So she's doing that, and then we see Garcelle and Sheree. They're looking up for a little pregame, if you will, to have a drink before lunch. And Sheree's fucking funny. Like we see her just her and Garcelle vibing. Sheree's kind of funny. I like it.
Your party was amazing.
Thank you. There was somebody crushing on Oliver. Erika.
Oh, I thought you were referring to me. Oh, yes, Erika.
So Garcelle fills in Sheree on what Erika pulled on Oliver and Jax. Sheree and Garcelle are like, what the fuck? Particularly because of the Jax thing. She's like, how dare she curse at your 14-year-old son? Like, what the hell? And they're ready to let Erika know what's up. And so we love it. Love to see it.
That's inappropriate.
Just because you're drunk, that's not an excuse. And I don't know if she's used to talking to people like that, but she's not gonna talk to my son like that.
To setting a bitch straight.
To setting a bitch straight. I love it. I've never toasted to that before.
The girls start rolling in the Sutton's party. Garcelle says she only wants to have one drink because she wants to be clear while addressing Erika later on, because she wants to talk to Erika about her behavior at her party at this event. Erika's a little bit late, and we swoop to Erika, and she's saying she's worried about coming face-to-face with Garcelle a bit. So, understandably so. You know, she should be very embarrassed by her behavior, and it's been a couple days since Garcelle's party. It's like, I really think that Erika should have fucking had the balls to, like, at least text Garcelle or ask to sit down or something. But I don't know, but waiting for this event was kind of weird on Erika's part, I must say. More women are arriving at Sutton's party. We see before and afters of the home. We see, like, she's really making some progress with it. It was a total renovation, it seems. Erika then arrives finally, and she and Garcelle are interacting, like some light banter, but it's visibly awkward. It's very weird. Then the girls, they're having some hors d'oeuvres and just chilling and stuff, and while they're getting ready to go sit down, because Sutton's having, like, an outdoor party, but it, like, rained the night before, so the grass is all, like, mucky and shit. And it's like, why don't you buy, like, those, like, it's not wicker, but, like, those mats, you know, those outdoor mats. Like, bitch, buy this, go to Home Depot real quick. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, it's an easy fix. And girl, you're a real housewife. You have assistants. Girl, get some cheap outdoor rugs, throw in there. You know what I mean? Here I'm talking about those, it's like, it's not wicker, but it's like those little, it's like a little bunch of little sticks almost, just throw it on the ground. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, and then the girls are just bitching because it's so mucky because of the rain in the grass, and Lisa's wearing these Versace shoes that don't even go with her outfit, I must say. It's like a totally different color of red. But yeah, so she's bitching about that.
I think we need some flip-flops. Can you get me some?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Can you just grab some? Because I don't think I should wear my shoes there.
You want boots?
No, I mean, it's either rain boots or flip-flops, because look what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a swamp.
I know, it's horrible.
And I don't want to ruin these.
We finally get to the table and we're eating. Sutton, she has one of her assistants bring a bunch of her chanclas, her flip-flops down. So all these girls are, like, wearing Sutton's flip-flops and everything. They're at the table and talk about how Diana didn't show up to Sutton's party, and she didn't let Sutton know. She basically pulled a Denise. She was a no-call, no-show. And Garcelle, she's like, you know what I call that? Rude. And it's like, ooh, because we already know that Diana's pressed about Garcelle calling her rude, but it's like, all right, well, that's rude. And Rinna rolls her eyes at this, and it's like, Rinna and Kyle are so fucking annoying. Rinna and Kyle are like, they stay, like, eating Diana out. Like, they're so obsessed with her. It's really disgusting. And then we kind of see Rinna. She begins checking Sutton for calling Diana soulless and a motherfucker, because Sutton, she says, oh, I just hate passive aggressiveness. And Rinna, she's like, oh, isn't that calling the pot the kettle black? Like, you're very passive aggressive. Are you not passive aggressive? And Sutton's like, no, I'm not passive aggressive. And then to kind of try to prove her point, Rinna's like, oh, Sutton, did you call Diana a soulless motherfucker? And it's like, Rinna, how is Sutton calling Diana to her face a soulless motherfucker passive aggressive? It's like, bitch, you have to learn, like, what passive aggressive means. You know what I mean? It's like saying something to someone's face is not passive aggressive. You know, it's so stupid, but it's a to be continued, and we'll see more next week. So again, it was a crazy week in the realm of Beverly Hills. 5 out of the 8 girls are actively in hot water. Crystal's in like lukewarm water. Some people are kind of upset with her, but it's like whatever. Garcelle and Sutton aren't even saying anything online. They don't need to. The fandom's doing all the work. Yeah, so I'm it's going down Beverly Hills. That's all I'm saying. But so be sure to rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the episodes, excuse me. What do you think about the drama going down? Who do you think will be cut? Who do you think will be safe? What are your thoughts on everything that's going down? I would love to know. All right, I'll see you again soon. Bye.